Today, we're diving into one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time. It's a story about an object of unbelievable power, a divine puzzle, and a relic that just vanished right at the height of its fame, the lost Ark of the Covenant.
So, where do you even start with a mystery this big? Well, funny enough, we're not going to start at the beginning. We're going to start at the end, with the Ark's absolutely baffling disappearance from the historical record. Yeah, this quote from Graham Hancock it nails it. I mean, think about this for a second. The Old Testament mentions the Ark more than 200 times before King Solomon. It's the absolute center of everything. And then, after it gets placed in the temple, nothing. Just gone from the story. A complete and totally deafening silence. How does that even happen?
And that is the question, right? It's the one that's fueled centuries of debate, countless real-life expeditions, and of course a certain blockbuster movie hero we all know and love. So today, we're going on our own investigation to explore what really happened to the world's most sought-after lost relic.
But okay, before we can even begin to look for it, we've got to understand why its disappearance is such a massive deal. What exactly was the Ark, and what kind of jaw-dropping power was it said to have?
So according to the book of Exodus, this was no ordinary chest. Its blueprints, if you will, were supposedly given directly by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. It was meant to be a physical manifestation of God's promise, literally the place where God's presence would live among the people. Talk about high-stakes construction.
And the biblical instructions are super precise. We're talking 2.5 cubits by 1.5. That's roughly 4 feet long and about 2.5 feet wide and tall. So, not huge, but definitely a solid piece. It was made from acacia wood and then completely covered, inside and out, with pure gold. It was built to be carried, but also built to be awe-inspiring.
And what was inside is just as crucial. This was no empty box. It held the literal cornerstones of the Israelite faith, the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments, Aaron's rod that miraculously sprouted flowers, and a golden pot of manna, that miracle food from the desert. Each item was a direct, tangible symbol of God's power and promise.
Now, let's talk about the power this thing supposedly had, because it is just wild. The Bible describes it as part weapon of mass destruction, part miracle machine. It could blaze with fire, stop rivers cold, blast entire armies, and famously bring down the walls of Jericho. But get this, it could also inflict horrifying plagues and tumors on those who disrespected it. Possessing it meant wielding God's power, but one wrong move could mean instant death.
Okay, so if we're going to crack this case, we have to do what any good investigator would. We have to trace the evidence, follow its known journey, and find its last confirmed location.
So here's the highlight reel of its journey. It's created at Mount Sinai. It travels with the Israelites in the desert for 40 years. It's a key player in the conquest of Canaan, parting the Jordan River, you name it. It even gets captured by the Philistines, who pretty quickly send it back after it started causing all sorts of chaos. Eventually, King David brings it to Jerusalem, and his son Solomon builds a magnificent temple just to house it. Around 950 BC, it's placed in the Holy of Holies, the most sacred room there is. And that's it. That is the last time the Bible mentions it with any real certainty. And right there, the trail goes completely cold. After it's safely tucked away in the temple, the record just stops. So this brings us to the absolute heart of our investigation. What happened to it?
Well, there are 4 main theories floating around, and each one is rooted in some pretty ancient texts. Was it hidden in a cave by the prophet Jeremiah? Was it just stolen as war booty by the Babylonians? Could it have been hidden in a secret chamber right there under the temple? Or, and this is the most dramatic theory of all, was it smuggled out of the country entirely and taken to Ethiopia?
Let's really dig into that last theory, because it's not just a simple claim, it's backed by an entire, detailed national epic. The Ethiopian tradition, written down in a book called the Kebra Nagast, tells a story not of loss, but of a daring relocation.
The story is basically a heist movie. Menelik, the son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, visits his dad in Jerusalem. When it's time to go home, some of the unhappy sons of Israel's elite are forced to go with him. So they hatch a plot. They sneak into the temple, swap the real ark with a fake, and take off. They somehow manage to get the real deal all the way to Ethiopia and establish a new Zion. And to this day, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims they still have the one true ark locked away in a chapel in the city of Axum.
This whole mystery is wrapped up in a much bigger academic fight. On one side, you have the minimalists, scholars who'd say these early Bible stories are mostly myth. On the other side are the maximalists, who argue the text is historically accurate. The wild thing is, actually finding the Ark wouldn't just solve an ancient mystery. It could completely change our understanding of history itself.
And hey, the Ethiopian claim, while it's the most famous, it is far from the only one. The Lemba people of southern Africa have a tradition about an object they call the voice of God that they say their ancestors carried south. There are ancient claims it was taken to Rome. There was even a bizarre theory that led to a real-life excavation at the Hill of Tara in Ireland. The legend of the Ark has truly spread to every corner of the globe.
So when you get right down to it, whether the Ark is a physical object out there waiting to be found or a powerful memory that has survived for millennia, its impact on our world is just undeniable.
And this isn't just a story for one faith. The Ark is a huge deal in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It represents divine law, God's actual presence, a direct link between heaven and earth. Its legacy is woven into the very fabric of these major world religions, making it one of the most powerful symbols in all of human history.
Which leaves us with one final, lingering question. Is the Ark of the Covenant buried in a desert cave, locked away in a forgotten chapel, or maybe even a legend that was never meant to be found in the first place? For now, the case remains open on what is, without a doubt, one of history's most profound and compelling mysteries.